a sociopath, an ex-convict, a transgender, a high school dropout, and a dark-skinned biracial guy. All the social misfits one can think of with different kind of culture in one drama, which is Itaewon Class. But then again, what does this drama has anything to do with our topic today? This drama is set in Seoul's most international and diverse neighborhood, which is Itaewon. And this drama also celebrates diversity, especially in an organization. Together, even with many differences, these characters work as a team to make their business, which is Danbam, grow. This drama has relation with our topic today. It is not just a good leader that makes a successful organization, but good management also does too, even with differences. So, what does it mean by culture? What does culture has anything to do with an organization? In my presentation today, these questions will be answered. And the title of my presentation is Concept of Culture and its Role in Social Environment. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to 1. Define what is intercultural management. 2. Identify how we can deal with intercultural management. And lastly, we should be able to list the importance of intercultural management. Alright, without further ado, let's go to the first part, which is defining intercultural management. So, what does it mean by culture? Culture can be defined as the way of life, especially the general customs and beliefs of a particular group of people at a particular time. Here we have an iceberg model to explain more about culture, and in the image we can clearly see that the iceberg is divided into two parts, which is 1. The visible, and 2. The invisible. The visible part of iceberg indicates that culture has areas that people can clearly see, which includes way of life, laws and customs, language, music, and rituals. And the invisible part includes values, norms, religion, philosophy, and attitudes. In her book, Managing Cultural Differences, Strategies for Competitive Advantage, Lisa Hocklin explains that culture is a system of great significance. In the book, Lisa explains culture informs us of what constitutes the primary focus of individuals and shows us how the world is perceived. In the book, Lisa also tells us that there are common ways of 1. Understanding the events and behaviors of people, and also there are ways that allow predicting how people will behave belonging to their group. Therefore, we can conclude that culture is a collective phenomenon sharing values and meanings. Now, let us see the example of encountering cultural differences in the workplace.
When I was doing my first co-op work term, it happened that I think I might have been a little bit rude to one of my supervisors, because for me, back at home, like, sarcasm is a very, very integral part of our culture. It's pretty much saying one thing when you obviously mean another thing, and joking around as well. And it happened to me that I was a little bit sarcastic and I didn't really receive the response with laughter or something I was expecting. So, and then the person just left without saying anything, and then I started feeling bad. So at the end of the day, I approached the person and apologized, and then she was totally fine because they know that it's not your first language, you're not from here. However, even Canadian people can lose their patience, but you really need to keep repeating that. But that incident had me realize that sometimes sarcasm is not really appreciated at the Canadian workplace, and since then I haven't had any issues.
So now you might ask, why is culture very important? Culture is very important because it leads to globalization. Why? Because with culture, more companies become more multicultural. For example, one, we have the Walt Disney Company. Because of globalization, Disney has produced film with multicultural characters, and there are many Disney theme parks opened worldwide. And Disney also have partnership with a lot of other successful companies because of culture. For example, with Pixar and also Marvel. And the second one, we also have the Coca-Cola Company. From selling 9 drinks a day, now the company sells about 19,400 beverages per second worldwide. And Coca-Cola also introduced many new flavors to fit different customers' taste. But of course, behind every success comes with a challenge as well. When working with a multicultural environment, we can find, firstly, language as a challenge, especially when communicating with each other. And some other challenges that are more than words include attitudes, values, behavior, work practice, and also decision making. Now, that leads us to a question. What is intercultural management? Intercultural management is the building up awareness that our own cultural background determines how we see things. It is also makes us aware of other cultures and try to acknowledge and respect the difference of the culture. It is also how we become skilled in interacting with different cultures. And lastly, it is about the structures and processes we have and develop in order to achieve the organizational goals in multiracial context. Now, let us move to the second part, which is dealing with intercultural management. The man in the picture is Dr. von Strampenaars. He is a Dutch organizational theorist and management consultant, and he is also the author in fields of cross-cultural communication. And in relation with our topic, he suggested 4 R's model, and we are going to find out more about it in the next slides. Dr. von Strampenaars suggested that these 4 R's model are needed so that we can work in a team or organization that are made up of people from different culture background. What are the 4 R's model? The first R is recognize. We need to acknowledge our own culture and others' culture. But first, it is really important in recognizing our own culture because only then we can see the differences between our culture and other people's culture. The second R is respect. Once we acknowledge our own and others' culture, and once we can see the differences, we must try to understand and accept. Also try to appreciate the differences of culture. The third R is reconcile. Reconcile means merging and blending the differences of cultures rather than ignoring certain cultures and focusing on some. And the last R is realize. To realize is to implement all the reconciliation that we have done earlier. We have now come to the last part of the presentation, which is why is intercultural management so important? The benefits of intercultural management. First, we can learn something new. Second, we can develop ethno-relativism. Ethno-relativism is an acquired ability to see many values and behaviors as cultural rather than universal. With good intercultural management also, we can see things from different perspectives and we can be more aware and sensitive towards other cultures. And lastly, with good intercultural management, we can build respect toward other cultures and increase problem solving ability, which is really mandatory in an organization. That is all for my presentation today. Thank you for listening and let's continue to other presenters.